how has winning changed from white to black? What does that look like now compared to when you first started?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I have like these flashbacks, right? So like, every white belt I think goes to this stage of like, I will not tap. It's against the code. Don't ever, don't even blink. You will go out before you tap,
Yeah.
And then you get to this purple belt where you're like intentionally putting yourself in chokes. Intentionally putting your shoulders are so jacked up because you intentionally experiment how far you can take it and all crazy weaving escapes and all that, and you're becoming a wizard and all the other stuff. I think that is one of the biggest milestones in everybody's jiu-jitsu is noticing what is important and what our goals are. So when we are in the beginning of the journey, the first year or two, survival is a huge win. Huge win. Whether we like it or not. Yeah. Whether we like it or not, survival is like the objective of the life. Like, you will not get passed and smashed. No, I don't care for my, I'll die before you do that, right? And same thing with submissions. Like, how many times do you see, somebody in the beginning of the journey, they are rolling and the choke is fully in, they go red, they go white, they go blue, and they are still not tapping. Like, what is the point behind this, right? But in all full justification is we don't know any better. Like, we just don't. Like, we don't know, how to escape. We don't know whether that's important or not. Like, nobody, we haven't been exposed to all this. So even though, it sounds crazy, especially looking in retrospect, like I look back 20 plus years ago and I was like, man, I was so stupid. Like my body would be so much more appreciative today, but it is what it is. We all go through these motions, and I think as we mature up through our jiu-jitsu, as we get better, as we have a larger comprehension of what is happening around us, this is where the evolution of jiu-jitsu starts taking place internally, and I call this a jiu-jitsu intelligence. That's what I tell my students. You're getting smarter about your jiu-jitsu. Tapping somebody out is no longer the objective. Now, objective is point of control. Because see, when you have that shoulder fully controlled the way you want it, that submission is literally doesn't move away. So you're not hyper-focusing on that submission. That submission is almost irrelevant. Like, this is the feeling that a lot of students describe as, my instructor is always 5 moves ahead of me. And like I always tell everybody, like, we can't read minds. We can't be 3 steps ahead of you. We can't. We just can't. But what I can do is put you in a fully controlled position where I know you only have 2 choices. Either you're going to walk into my submission, or you will lean in the opposite direction and you will begin escaping. And at that point, I will make my adjustments. Like, and that is really that intelligence that I often talk about, and with that being said, our objectives change, our goals change. Again, the submission is not as important as the point of control. Maybe, and even think about it this way: if you can control somebody to the point where they do everything that you want them to do, now how much fun that could be. You know what I mean? Now you're talking about creativity. You move this way, they do this. You move that way, they do it. And this is what like a lot of, beginner students experience is like, he's just toying with me. He's just, he's just doing whatever he wants. Well, in a way, yes, but often that is, kind of what you talked about a moment ago. It's that shifting of those goals, and how winning has a different definition now. It's like some of the students that we do one-on-ones or private lessons or kind of hyper focus on specific things to help them, achieve their goals. Like, they often have homework, and over a week or 2, they have to go back and like, even I did a private this morning with 2 gentlemen, and one of them had an objective of, you will put yourself intentionally in an open guard position. I don't want your feet to be closed at all. I want the feet to be open. and you will allow them to start passing that guard. And then you will react accordingly. You need to make sure that they don't pass all the way full, but you need to be vulnerable, because you locking your legs behind their back and squeezing those knees together does nothing to your guard retention. You need to put yourself in a vulnerable position. And this is what smart drilling is. You know, now I'm not talking to do that in a full sparring session, because obviously the result is going to be very different. But when we are practicing, when we are drilling, when we are going through these points of exploration, you know, we need to put ourselves in a vulnerable position. And that's what I would call a win. If you are able to retain that guard, that's your win, because that was your goal. You know, it's not the sweep. It's not a submission. Your goal is to retain the guard. And if you succeed, gold star for you. Good for you. Let's talk about what went well. Let's talk about what didn't go well. Let's make adjustments from there. Yeah. So, you know, and based on that, you can start reestablishing the goals, and you can begin seeking a new path. This is where these forks are coming into play. This is what you talked about a little bit earlier, you know, making intelligent decisions, how to grow your game as you continue evolving.